and also love, as I said, I love mountain biking, running in the mountains, nature, skiing, all that stuff. So wanted to have my cake and eat it too, be able to do those things, but at the same time help preserve and have it for my kids and my grandkids. So got super into green building and became a building scientist per se. It's kind of a field. And so I started Evolve, which is a vertically integrated real estate company. We do everything from acquiring the property, finding the property, building property, designing the property, selling the property or renting the property, depending if it's mixed use, multifamily, retail, residential. And then we launched Evolve Building Supply in 2018, which is like green products and helping other builders do it. We shut that down during COVID just because it was too much for me to take on at that time with COVID. My parents, some of my team were moving because of COVID, to be with their significant others elsewhere. And so I kind of pulled back. I was also working a ton. My family had just moved to Australia. So I'm kind of I was been last kind of half decade, I've been working on bigger development deals, kind of transitioning to massive development deals, where I can have a bigger impact, not work as hard and make a shit ton more money. So yeah, like I was telling you, about 2,000 acres in Nicaragua, be completely off grid using wind, 300 days of offshore wind, as I was telling you, for surf, which is great, but also great for solar, wind power, solar. And then we'd use something like Rex Energy's X1 unit to be able to move that energy around 100 homes, probably of high-end beachfront homes, and then probably another like 200 like work homes, like so the workers would help us build them, but they could rent them for us for cheap, but then they'll work at the resorts and maintenance of the homes and cleaning the homes, and we'd have a farm and a school for those guys as well. So kind of create a community that helps the rich, but also the rich help the poor. And my buddy who works for what are they called? Not those. I can't remember the name right now. But anyhow, he did a surf trip to actually El Salvador, where he was paid by VMware. That's what he was working for. They had like a mandatory 1 week or maybe it was 2 week volunteer it was mandatory, but you get paid for it. So his mandatory, which is pretty cool, he got to take his wife. Well, he paid for his wife, but they went down to El Salvador and they helped build a school during the mornings, and then he could surf in the afternoon just off where the school was being built. And so I was thinking doing a similar thing, like people could come down, volunteer, help teach, the local kids English or coding or whatever, and they can stay for free and surf at our breaks and, use our boats and so on and so forth. So there's some social impact there. Just because, you do still get a lot. I don't know how much you guys have traveled to South or Central America. You still get a lot of that green go, green as in like military go, like US, get the fuck out of here. Even on my last trip, I got in 2 fights. And I'm not a fighter, but I know how to protect myself, luckily, because when I played water polo in high school, my water polo coach used to come an hour and a half early and train doing martial arts. And so he'd be like, you want to show up and learn? Come on in. So he taught me a couple of different styles. And one of them that I like the most is where you're taking the power from the other person and you're just redirecting it. So it's more passive, and it doesn't matter how big the guy or gal is. But so yeah, I'm looking more at larger projects, also looking more at creating, like for California, ADUs are massive right now. So maybe creating a factory of panelized construction using the building science so we can panelize stuff for other developers. And so we can do it for ourselves as well as for others. Start on the smaller side and then build probably a bigger factory. Actually just had a friend of mine, I called him yesterday, who's a good friend of mine from college, and just called him yesterday because he and we talk all the time. He's a super successful individual. And I was like, looking at some factory stuff, and he does vertical farming. That's called Bowery farming. They actually were valued at like $2.3 billion in, I think, 2023. They raised $700 million. And I Googled them after I called and left the voicemail. I Googled them. I was like, I wonder how he's doing. They went under last month. And I was like, fuck, that's a lot of money to go under with. I mean, they had great backers. They were bringing over C-suite, got people from like Amazon and Apple and, Google, all types of stuff. But long story short, definitely learned a couple of different times. Try, don't get too far of your ski tips. You want to go big, but don't try to go too big. Let the snowball grow while it rolls down the hill, not try for too much.
Seen it happen so many times. Businesses start scaling and they get a little bit of wind in their sails, and then they start hiring, and oh, Jesse's got to go. Okay, she just got a text from somebody. Yeah, well, anyway, we'll keep going. Where they hire a bunch of expensive people as well, and they build up their expenses, and then holy crap, I don't have any cash. Yeah. I don't say it. I know that these are smart people. These are people that have vision and they're doing big things, but doesn't always work that way, right? I know a couple of guys. It's really funny you mentioned that, because I've met two guys in town in Houston here that do hydroponics. One guy does it, and they've developed some stuff that to grow on the space. The idea is space station, grow your own food type of thing, and then the plants actually purify the air as well. So it's a totally sustainable situation like that, kind of related. And the other guy grows hydroponics because the idea is, or invert, some of it's vertical, but the idea is if you can do that right by the metro area, you gain a lot higher value of food. You don't have all the trucking. You don't have all the the carbon in the air.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, the food value is so much higher as well. So there's a lot of people in that space, I think. It's too bad he didn't make it though. That's
yeah, they were the unicorn of the ag tech world, as they call it. So I mean, his first two factories were in New Jersey, and he was supplying Manhattan. So Whole Foods, and I think it was just the costs were going too high. The margins weren't enough. It just couldn't get the cost down. He thought the scales would, I think, go up kind of the scale, and just didn't. I guess I don't know. I haven't talked to him. He didn't call me back yesterday, but I was super surprised he went under. But yeah, looking at different products, looking at just ways to scale it. It's hard to scale real estate unless you're doing like massive development deals or but it'd be nice to, like, it's not like you're putting together iPhones, right? You design an iPhone and then it's just like you build it, you just market it and sell it, right? And you can just scale that pretty quickly. Or coding, you can scale pretty easily, an app of some sort. Real estate's, it's a tangible asset that has to be installed and erected. And so how do you scale that if you really want to make an impact, one, on the environment, and two, your pocketbook? So
so is that your biggest challenge?
And quality of life. So what was that?
Is that your biggest challenge right now?
I think my biggest challenge is just to figure out exactly how I want to move forward. And I think I've decided that I should move forward with probably two of these large development projects. And then during that process, hopefully select whether I want to go with prefab type of construction, panelized or cube construction for those projects, and or for other, to supply other developers, or whether I want to build, certain types of mass timber type of Lego type system like Juno did, which is a pretty cool prefab company that's more like a Lego, like they have, it's the erector set type thing is the way they put it together. Mass timber, I think, is definitely going to, prefab mass timber are definitely going to change the industry for larger buildings, and just from a carbon standpoint and a cost standpoint, it's just still at the forefront. It's still it's just changing,
Yeah. Oh, I lost your audio. What happened? Can you hear me?
What was that?
Oh, I got you back. I lost your audio for a second for some reason. That was strange. How about shipping containers? Do you integrate those into this structure?
You could. The problem with shipping containers is that they're not really insulated that well. So you'd have to insulate on the outside, and then you've got the exposed shipping container on the inside, I guess. And then what do? You have exposed wiring and plumbing. They're really not that easy to reuse for a proper building.
Yeah, for something that's going to be, if you're going to cool the inside, then
yeah,
you're going to
if
lose
you're just
all that.
using it, not cooling it, you could. I guess you could probably use some shipping containers down on the Nicaragua site for, just like some of the workers to live in, because the fact of the matter is it's between 70 and 85 all year round. Sometimes it rains, but that's about it. So
Yeah, good ventilation.
You don't really need to clean, cool it or heat it. It's unless you're closing the windows and you're in a high-end home or resorts.
Yeah, so, keep it shaded. You're okay. No, that's interesting. So, how do you find your you get your land, then how do you find your partners, and how do you hold them accountable, and do all that? Like, what's your
I find investors just from years of talking to different people and having a Rolodex of people that I've talked to. My team to build, same thing, just been in the industry for a long time.
okay.
Marketing, on all those fronts, I have different Rolodexes, different compartments of people that I talk to. Some I bring in house, some I keep out. Depends on how large the project is and for how long. So yeah, I've gotten more towards where I try to keep my team as small as possible and out, bring in other. But if I did do something like a factory, obviously that my team would have to grow. But yeah, for the most part, you can build massive projects as a developer and have like a team of 4. Like you don't need to have that big of a team, and it makes it's a little bit more nimble. And you can pass you pass some of the rewards on to the subs, right? The GC or whoever designers, but you also pass some of the risks on too. So it's going to be advantageous. It really depends on how much risk you want to take and how involved you want to be. And I feel like as I age, the less I want to be. I want to be able to have the final say, and I want to be able to make projects and make a difference, but I don't want to be boots on the ground that often.
It makes sense. Yeah, you keep your risk low, keep your fixed costs low, be nimble.
Yeah, I still want good rewards, but I want to be able to have numerous different large projects around the world, so I can travel and see different places, see different people, just experience life while I still had it.
I love your sense of adventure and like trying to experience, get all you can out of it while we're here, right? Squeeze all the juice out while we can do it.
Yeah.
So you joined this call. What did you want to get, since just you and I? What did you want to get out of this today?
Oh, I don't know. You pinged me a couple of times. I don't normally take these things. I thought it was going to be, a bunch of people where I could listen and see what they get out of it. So for me, it was more exploratory. I've done these type of things in a setting, in person, groups of other developers or brokers, through different organizations that I belong to. Some have been useful, some aren't. It really depends on the group of people as well as the leader themselves.
Yes.
How much he or she has had experience in the field that you're working in, or, because all of us are in different stages and different, even within the same field of real estate development, can be doing completely different types of projects and different problems. And sometimes it's good to hear the other problems so you can, see them before they happen to you, or you can help them. But sometimes those problems never will arise. In logistical real estate, right? Warehousing, I'm not going to see the problems in a mixed use condos / hotels / apartments / retail ground floor type, city planning type projects. They're very different problems. So may not be the best use of my time.
Yeah, and by the same token, somebody that's just going to be local or just in the United States isn't going to have this situation where they're going to deal with the government of a foreign country and navigate that sort of that political landscape. There's a political landscape here, and there are building inspectors and all the other, there's things, and even politicians, I guess. But I'm guessing it's a little more of a challenge in a foreign country, correct? Or not?
Yeah, definitely. And especially a foreign country that may not, is still considered somewhat unstable, right? I mean, it's not Costa Rica, which is fairly stable, but even Costa Rica has difficulty. But the upside is you're getting, beachfront property and owning that beach to high tide.
Oh yeah.
For, I don't know, pennies on the dollar compared to a place in Hawaii or California, So
for sure.
Even California, I would say, yeah, there's some beautiful beaches, but NorCal, fuck, the water's cold. SoCal, it's not too much warmer until you get to like San Diego. Santa Barbara has beautiful, but like you get a lot of clouds there. LA is crowded as heck.
Yeah.
San Diego's pretty cheesy. There's parts of it that I like. But then you get down to, Mexico. A lot of people have gone there. They've got built some pretty big resorts. But there's also some unrest there in the whole, with the cartels. And then, you keep moving down. I like Nicaragua. I've been there before a bunch of times. I think it's going to transition. I think Ortega will die and somebody else will take over, and hopefully it'll be better. So we'll see.
That's
but yeah,
cool.
Definitely different problems.
Yeah. I see Lori is on now too. This is kind of we got people coming in. I feel like we're talking in a coffee shop and people are just joining our conversation. So I guess.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Lori, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, thank you. I apologize about being late. I was on another call that I couldn't finish.
Well, y'all are both in San Francisco, interestingly enough.
Who else is?
Tyson is, actually.
Yeah, I'm actually up in northern Sonoma County at the moment, just helping my father. But yeah, I'm normally in Pack Heights or Russian Hills.
Nice. I have really good friends that live in Novato.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, I'm way up past Healdsburg. So
wine country. Wine country. Hey, I'll come visit.
Healdsburg's pretty good. It's a good spot. I prefer Sonoma over Napa personally because it's a little less snooty, and they still have good Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays and some good cabs and some other things. So that's my preference. So.
I 100% agree with you. Whenever people say they're coming to California and they want to go to wine country, I say go to Sonoma. You'll get that more personal touch. They'll take you on the tours in the back. It's more family owned than I don't want to say corporate, but big box versus small business. You get a different feel. Different feel.
So hey, Lori. By the way, I grew up in Iowa. You grew up in Minnesota, or I don't know if you grew up in Minnesota, but you.
I did.
That's okay. Super cool. I ran sound one summer at Valley Fair, at the Red Garter Saloon, actually.
Oh wow, that's hilarious.
Yeah, pretty funny, right? We were talking. And by the way, Tyson, congrats on getting Bill Belichick as your coach. I see you have. I know you didn't go to school there, I don't think, but you have a UNC sweatshirt on, so that's pretty funny. That'll be interesting. Lori, tell me quickly about Modern Envy Apparel.
Perfect. Well, nice to meet all of you, first of all. So I own and operate Modern Envy Apparel, which is an apparel brand that we do direct to consumer and we do business to business. So we operate in two different fields. For our direct to consumer, interesting enough, we started the company, had the idea in 2012. My husband comes from a long, intensive background in importing products. And him and his dad were the first ones to bring the aerial maps to San Francisco of the whole city. And then they started bringing in paper lanterns from Asia. So he traveled a ton to Asia and made a ton of contacts at a very young age in Asia. Some of his big clients back in the day were with the paper lanterns were Urban Outfitters, Home Goods, etc. It was new concepts coming to the US of products at the time. When I met him, he was traveling a ton and couldn't find a good quality sock that would stay up on his foot and keep his feet dry. I have an extensive background in fashion and retail in San Francisco. I'm on 2 different fashion boards, have produced several fashion shows. I worked for Westfield Shopping Centers when the shopping center was this was like 2013 to 2016 when the shopping center was going down, but trying to convert it to combine the physical and digital space together. So I worked on first to market trends, new concepts, new ideas coming in on a smaller platform, and working with them directly to create that physical and digital experience together. And I did San Francisco and I did Valley Fair out in San Jose, Silicon Valley. So I
Cool.
worked on 2 of the top properties there. And when I met my husband and business partner, he's like, I can't find a good quality sock. Let's make it. So fast forward 10 years later, we still do socks. People love our socks. If you guys send me your address, I'll send you a pair of socks. Happy to do that.
Awesome.
The difference is at the time we didn't have $1 million behind us and we never went into crowdfunding or investing. And so we did it all by ourselves. So around the same time, that's when Bombas launched. Bombas had about $1 million behind them, and they have a cause that they do it with, which was great marketing strategy that they had behind it. Our material composition is almost exactly identical.
Really?
We just started about 2 years before them. So there's a little bit different because we do a hybrid map construction in our socks, but that's where we started. And the short story is in 2015, I have a long history with the Minnesota State Fair of my family. And I wrote to them and said, hey, I want to be in the state fair. I launched a new company. And they were like, oh my gosh, we'd love to have you, but good luck. There's a 25-year waiting list. And
What? Oh my gosh.
it's the second largest state fair in the country.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lady there that in 12 days does $4.2 million in 12 days in cookies.
I will tell you, I bought a lot of things at the Minnesota State Fair. So I will.
Yeah, it's the numbers that you can do. And essentially what that did is it built out our direct to consumer for long term. So we ended up getting in on a cancellation. So 2 weeks before the event, she called me and said, Lori, I have a cancellation. Can you pull it off? I have a tiny little corner booth in the back corner. Would you take it? And I said, yes. I did a really cool display and they loved my display. So the next year they moved me downstairs to a corner lot, like one of the prime locations, and gave me double the size of the booth. And she's like, I want to prove a point to people that if you create like good products and show good display, that we will give you prime locations. And that really set us up for our direct to consumer. People come every year and buy from us year over year, and it builds out our direct to consumer profile. And with that being said, when we were a smaller business, we realized our biggest gift was that we can make any product pretty much. And when I say that loosely, I truly mean that. That's when we opened up our field to do B2B. And the reason why we did that is because we never had enough cash flow to grow the brand to carry every single product that we could make, because we didn't have enough customers behind to buy every single product that we could make. And we didn't have enough marketing to support every product at the time. So we opened it up to B2B so the cash flow wasn't a problem. Businesses are buying from us, but it allows us to expand our portfolio and showcase people what we've done. So some of the companies that we've worked with have been, my husband designs for a gaming company where he creates product in the digital world and then brings it to life in the physical world. And so you're combining that. They're wearing it and the character, and then it comes to life in real life. You have a Super Mario jacket on the Mario character, and now you can buy the Mario jacket. That jacket's worth so much more money because the consumer has a connection to the product, right? But so we do things like that. We've done commemorative coins. One of our biggest clients here in Minnesota is the Minneapolis Airport. We do all 4 divisions for them. We do the MAC, the Airport Foundation, the Police Department, and the Fire Department. For the police department, one thing that we're working on right now is the flag changed in Minnesota. So they're getting brand new badges. So we're working on their badges. We've done stuffed animals. So from a perspective of like product, we're in apparel, but we do any kind of product you want made. So in a nutshell, our biggest problem right now probably is that we need to be just a little bit more focused on where are we driving the most revenue and which products are the best to focus on delivering and making instead of going so wide. But it's been a great run because we've been able to like diversify out and see all the different products with companies and how it's selling and what it's doing. And the real biggest win for our company right now is a lot of these companies that we're working with don't want to run the e-commerce and logistics. So we run the e-commerce and logistics for them, and their customer is now becoming our customer. So they're in our
that's awesome. So
database.
you can cross promote yourself through that.
Yes. So their customer is becoming our customer for our database for our direct to consumer. So that's the real big win there.
I think thank you for sharing that. I think there's a couple interesting things there. It's interesting how a funded, let's call it products very similar, the same type of products. And you got one that started with $1 million and one that started from scratch. And the $1 million with the good marketing ramped up really quick. But now you, through some pretty kind of scrappy moves, have managed to create your own very vibrant business in a different way, completely different way. Like I find that super interesting. So how do you decide? I guess it's just an evaluation situation of where you're going to go. Where's the market going to move? In some ways, that's the same thing that Tyson's doing. He's trying to figure out, okay, where's the emerging market that I can develop green, sustainable real estate developments. I hope that's right, Tyson. That's kind of what I got out of it anyway. And by the same token, you're trying to figure out what are the emerging markets where you can develop the most cash flow for your products, Lori. Would that be correct?
Absolutely. And it's been a very interesting journey, but you're correct. It was kind of like a bootstrap. You have to look at your strengths and where they lie, and then take those and focus on those and try to be. And that's the one thing that we've always done is gone back to, there's two parts to it. One, you need to take your strengths and focus and do your business around those. And then every day you've got to do your hardest things first.
Mm-hmm.
It's two-part. Like, I'm not saying do your easiest things and not do the hard things, because the hard things you've got to do, but you do those first and get those off your plate.
Well, I was just telling Tyson, we do a quarterly planning session with all of our clients. And we did it yesterday with a big group that's local here. And so you have to have, what's your 10-year goal? That's for your life and your business, right? Because your business is just really funding your life. And it's not just doing that. It's also impacting the world. We're employing people. We're making the world a better place. And we can literally change the world with our businesses. But at the end of the day, that business is going to be something that you're either going to sell or get to your kids, or it's going to throw cash or something. But it's the means to the end, not the means. It's to us. So it's like, what's your 10-year? What's your 3-year to get to your 10-year? What's your 1-year plan to get to your 3-year? And then this is where it gets really hard, going down and saying, what 6 things am I going to do in the next 90 days? And then calendaring those out to accomplish those things, and then putting them on a calendar and getting them done, which sounds simplistic, but man, most business owners, when you pull it down to 6 things, it gets really, okay, really, what do I have to do to get this thing going? And I had a big CPA firm there, and he's like, I'm just overwhelmed because I have all these things. I'm like, okay, put everything away and look at me and tell me right now, what's your biggest problem? Okay, I have a cash flow problem. I may have overhired. I'm like, okay, so then the first thing is we've got to figure out the cash flow thing. Where you have some collections issues? Yes. Okay, so we're going to collect money. We might even use those people that you have hired extra to collect money. Then we're going to evaluate a reduction in force. Then, right? Like, okay, sometimes you got to boil it down to the essence to actually figure out what is really my prioritization schedule. So I like what you said. Sorry, that was a long diatribe. I like what you said about doing the hard things first.
No, it's true. And setting those goals and making sure that you're achieving them, even now in Q4, at the end of Q4 and looking into 2025, looking at your Q4 and really being like, what were my goals and what did I can't accomplish my year in review? Like, where did I fall short and why? And it's hard to spend time on those things because we never have enough time as being an entrepreneur. Time is the biggest killer, because time is money. But if you start to focus your time on where it's most useful, and where you're going to get the biggest profit from it, it's going to become your best friend. But you have to manage. It's time management as an entrepreneur is probably the hardest thing, because there's always something you can be doing. Always.
I'll
And
tell you, have you ever seen the time target? So like on the outside of the time target is not urgent, not important, but yet you'll have people spend time there because they're comfortable doing that.
it's easy. It's where they're good. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
the
where you
hard
feel
thing.
comfortable. I used to have, I ran big sales teams across the country. And I used to have people that would be like, they would be typing and doing things, but they're never talking to a freaking customer. Like you're not talking to a customer, you're not selling stuff, right? So that's not urgent, not important. And then you got urgent, not important. And that's where people are like putting out fires.
Mm-hmm.
People spend a lot of time there and then just scrambling. And then you got urgent and important. We're going to do all that stuff. That's super. But we never get to the not urgent but important, which is the planning, the evaluation, looking at what we're doing, systems and processes, and how we can get more efficient. Where can we delegate? Where can we use AI? Where can we do all those things? And we don't ever get to that unless we put that on our calendar. That never happens, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think the number one thing is too, you nailed it. You go after the things that are on fire. And as being an entrepreneur, something always is on fire. I would
Yeah.
never really advise. When I went into this, I never really realized how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. Like no one tells you how incredibly challenging it is because you have to have the right mindset. When things are hard, you have to be like, I'm okay. My new thing is I'm okay for today. Like we got big problems, but what can I solve and how do I solve it now? And you just have to take each step along the way. But the hardest part is being an entrepreneur is you're putting in all this work and all this effort and you see small benefits, but the big benefit really doesn't come till the end. When you really get to the other long term, it's just a lot of work and a lot of grinding. And it's your baby, you put everything into it. So it's a big difference. So
Tyson, you seem like you have a good mindset.
Every entrepreneur sometimes is a little lazy, especially as Lori said, you do the hard stuff early in the day when you have the energy, but later in the evening, you might start like thinking larger picture and be more creative. And I don't know if you guys have ever read the book, Hyper Focus. Pretty good. Talks about, how you focus, and there's hyper focus and there's scatter focus, and scatter focus is where you're connecting the dots and you're doing more creative stuff, and you can do that, even while doing other kind of more habitual type, like cleaning your room or office or on the treadmill, you can be scatter focused, but hyper focus, you can really only do for 60 minutes to 90 minutes. And then you need a good half an hour to recrank your brain up. And so, it talks about, there's kind of 5 different things in being focused. One's hyper focused. The next one, it's useful, but it's not as demanding mentally. Then there's the third one, which is, he has names for him. I can't remember all. It's a while ago I read the book. Next one is it's useful, but it's actually has some fun to it. And then one's more just like fun and recharge. And then one is just trash. You're just reading page 6. It's just like worthless time. And that you want to completely get rid of. You want to try to get as much of hyper focus, which is the top one, get rid of this one completely, the 5th one. And then you want to try to recharge using these 3. And if you can recharge using your second one, which is a little bit of fun, but you're still getting a lot out of it, that's great. Then you can recharge and get back to hyper focus. But sometimes you got to jump down to the maybe 3rd or 4th one and to get back, especially later in the day as you get. And some people are different. Some people, I often will get my second win and I'll be like 8 o'clock after dinner, I'll be just like, yep, going back to the office, boom, just like knock out, no interruptions. And I'll just knock out a bunch of work till 2 in the morning and then come home, type of thing. So, or even later. But so yeah, I'm early and late. I'm kind of all over the place, but I try to have a decent recharge time periods and around my day and schedules.
Your schedule sounds super familiar to mine. You get the morning and then the late evening as your 2 windows of big times. But I have a quick question for you. Do you do real estate development?
Yeah, I do real estate development, brokerage, construction, design, building science. So, Warren, just to follow up when you were saying like green building, I mean, yeah, our focus is on building better. So our kind of tagline is healthy, sustainable, smart, and resilient buildings. So there's a lot there in the sense people are now, we're starting to see the necessity of resiliency as power grids go out because of whether it's a hurricane or a fire. Resiliency in the sense of also, how does that building do in a fire? How is it, is it smoke insulate, healthy? How are you dealing with the ventilation? Ventilation systems should be completely separate from heating and cooling systems. One, because they're different size ducts, and two, because you want to send them on recirc when you do have fires or you do have pollution outside. And we do spend 90 to 95% of our time indoors these days. So, we should really be thinking about that from a health standpoint. So it's really just building better, building to last, kind of being the Patagonia of buildings is the easiest way for sometimes to be analogous to something that people see on a regular basis. With Patagonia, people think of, oh yeah, it's this great company. He gave it to the world now, so it's just crazy. But also their products is just better, right? And their customer service. I mean, I can buy I buy a Patagonia pair of linen shorts. My wife's like, "You're gonna fucking ruin those," and I'm like, that'll be all right. Of course, like a month later, I bail on my skateboard going to a meeting and rip them like top to bottom. Luckily, I always ride with my backpack, my laptop, and my notebook and an extra pair of shirts and shorts. And I rock up and I go, I know you guys have a Patagonia store in San Francisco in North Beach, and I say, I know you guys have what do they call it, like a repair system or a repair company, that you send them out to Reno. What would it cost to fix these? And they go, oh, it's free. I go, what? But I fell on my skateboard and I ripped it. It's not your fault. That's still free. I'm just like, yeah, that's pretty legit.
Wow. That's awesome. That's amazing. That's the kind of stuff that creates raving fans versus just.
Yeah, I mean, that's just good marketing.
Yeah.
And it's, it aligns with his and their, their goal of not just being a company that sells clothes, but also
quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And not like reusing the product versus throwing it away. Like, hey, we can fix that. Let's not waste products. And they're all about the environment. So score to them.
But that's like also that's taking a vision and then pressing it down through all the way through to your customer. Like your employees have a vision, your team has a vision, your customers see that vision and they feel it in their customer experience, right? That's different.
If you read his book, Let My People Go Surfing, they were in some financial hardships, I think in the 90s, and they brought in a Harley Davidson, the business consultant who worked with Harley Davidson to turn Harley Davidson around.
Yeah.
And he said, well, just sell the company for $100 million and then use your proceeds to change the environment if that's really what you want to do. And they said, no, we want to take the risk. We want to take the risk because we want it to not only show how you should run a company, but also we think we can make a bigger impact on the environment than just investing that $5 million a year that we make from our 5%, investment, or proceeds that from the investments or 10 million, whatever it is. And so they went ahead and kept the company going, and, they got pretty close a couple of times, but pretty impressive.
So now
obviously they kept some of the money, but they gave pretty much the whole company to create an LLC for Earth, now owned by the world.
I love it. Lori, were you going to say something?
No, I'm just listening. I think it's all fascinating. I love it.
It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. By the way, I will tell you, I have a client down at Dana Point, and he does annual reports and ESG reporting. He's really good, and people don't realize how those reports can matter. And so if you all ever run into clients that are into that, he's the guy. So anyway, can I just show you this really quick? I'm just going to show you we call it our we call it our scaling scorecard or exitability scorecard. It's the same thing, but this might kind of galvanize what we're talking about as far as how you're scaling a company and where you're going to go. Are you cool with that if I do that really quick? It's not a pitch. So, okay, slideshow.
Tyson, I just looked you up on LinkedIn. We have like several mutual connections. I wrote you a quick note.
That's awesome.
Cool. I'll check it out.
I was like, we live in substance. And when I used to be in real estate, I've done real estate for cannabis and for Westfield. So I've done quite a bit in the real estate. I'm surprised we don't actually have more connections, but.
So that's super cool.
It's probably because I worked mostly for myself my entire life. So most of the real estate that I've done is either been for friends and family or high net worth people that I know from building them high-end homes, or they bought my development projects, or so on and so forth. So yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's awesome. If nothing else comes out of this and you two met and there's a great connection, then I call that a W, by the way. So so thank you for that. And I also wanted to I'm going to ask you all both a question, if you would be so kind. I record interviews with business owners that have been successful, and then I cut them up. I don't cut them up. I have somebody cut them up and I post them on social, and, like that. And then I gain a bunch of wisdom, which I'm eventually going to record into actually a written document. Some people call them books. And I would love to spend 30 minutes with each of you separately and do that. Would that be okay if we could find the time?
I'm cool with it.
Okay, thank you, Lori.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just probably not for the next couple of weeks. I'm in and out of the country a bunch of times, so pretty busy.
We'll find the time. I'll put you on my calendar to ping you back like in January at some point. So
yeah, I would say middle to late January or maybe in February. I'm supposed to go to Australia a couple different times, Nicaragua a couple different times, and then also Colombia and South America. So yeah, I'm around, but different places.
Okay, so this is so our Action Coach, to just tell you, it's been around. I bought this franchise. They've been around 30 years, 86 countries, coach 26,000 businesses a week. It was the most expensive one, but I liked it. It's approachable and I get it. And we have a guarantee. So when we work with a business, we have to get them their results in 17 weeks, or we work for free after that until they get results, meaning profit, return on investment and profit. So I'm not trying to pitch you all, but I think this is interesting. I like this framework for developing a business, whether it's a $1 billion business or a $1 million business. So thinking about mastery of destination, time, delivery, and financial, those are pretty self-explanatory. Delivery is just having a great customer experience. That's your baseline, right? Then you get to niche, which maybe won't come up. Okay, here we go. So USP is unique selling proposition. We talked about Bombas and how they kind of marketed themselves, and then a guarantee. This doesn't maybe apply so much, but it could actually even apply for development. And then I'll come back to this, but this is all about profit. Then you move to leveraging your people, your delivery and distribution systems, and testing and measuring different systems and accounting, and then your systems and tech, which in today's world, we can do more and more and more, and we can create so much efficiency by using things like AI, for instance. Then thinking about your team as you scale up, this team thing becomes important. And I've run companies, of 100+ people since I was 39. And this culture is so important. And man, I would rather have a great culture with 5 people than a crappy culture with 25 people. We'll get more done. Do you all agree with that?
Yeah. 100%.
Then, yeah, 100%, right? And then you get to synergy, where this business should be able to run without you. And that's what we're all working for. That's why we all got into business, was to be in that spot. And I see so many businesses that are stuck in their business. And so this is what we're really working for. We try to have people have the option to be in their business within 3 years. Then finally, you get to something that's optimized, that's highly exitable if you want to exit, and it's optimized exit value, meaning it's turnkey and it's throwing a lot of profit. and that's optimized exit value. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? I'm going through this super fast. So I want to be cognizant of time. Good.
Yep.
And then this is for fun to make your brain work. So the things in red, I'm just going to put them all up here, are the levers you can pull to increase your profit. Okay. Does that make sense? Leads times conversion rates, that gives you a number of clients times your number of transactions and your average sale, and then take your margin, and that gives you profit. Here's the fun thing. If you increase these all 10%, these 5 things, you end up with 100% or 61% increase in profit. And if you increase them all 15%, it gives you 100% increase in profit. So this is what we call BFO. You knew this inherently, you knew it. And I guess development is a little different, obviously, but there's still things you can pull out of here and use to think about, wait a minute, if I want to squeeze money out of a business, what's the best way to do it? And a little bit here and a little bit there, a few more leads, a little higher conversion rate, another transaction, a little higher average sale, all of a sudden you've doubled your profit. So that's kind of an aha for some folks. So that's why I like to throw that up there, just to give you an idea of what we kind of do at our place. And look, we have 4 minutes left, so I'll let you ask any questions, and then I would love to stay in touch. If there's something we can do for you, I would love to have a further chat. And that's, that's it. And I connected 2 people from San Francisco, so my life was full today. I did something I feel like something happened here that was cool. Thoughts, comments?
One, I just want to say thank you for both of your time, and it was a pleasure to meet both of you. And Warren, I really appreciate your optimistic attitude and your willingness to, really listen to other business owners. It was great.
Well,
I wish I had more time with both of you, but as we said, time is money.
Time is money. That's so true, Lori. I'll
keep it moving.
I'll reach out to you later for sure, and we can schedule something that fits.
Yeah, I will. If I can get through the holiday, January will be better because we're so busy right now. But
you guys are grinding right now. Okay.
It's grind. It's terrible. It's in a lot of our shipments and products we do ourselves, some of them. So it's really brutal.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you for taking the time. Tyson?
It's good to diversify yourself, to take those small, that 30-minute, like Tyson said. I can't remember what you called it. Not focus, not hyper focus, something else.
Scatter focus, right?
Yeah, scatter focus. I'm on scatter focus right now.
It's beautiful.
So it's great.
Yeah, so like something like this would be like kind of the higher end scatter focus, or middle, like maybe 2, or like scatter focus number 1 or number 2, because it's useful, but it allows your brain to kind of be creative, connect the dots, but and so it's super useful in your learning, but it recharges so that you can get back to like, all right, now I got to look at these numbers and what am I doing? How am I doing? Scanning, the shipping done or whatever. So, and that's hyper focus, where you throw on the headphones and you're just basically like, don't fucking interrupt me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, for development, it doesn't really apply those last slide, but that's why I'm going to larger projects, because it's not the same amount of work for me to build a small mixed use project as it is a massive mixed use project. So a little bit more delegation, and bringing the right team, which would be not an in-house team, as I said, it'd be more of the right subs and design professionals and engineers and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'll take a look at this, dissect it a little bit, the steps, stability scorecard. I'm not very good at pronouncing words and dyslexic fuck. But yeah, I'll take a look at that, and then let's touch base about that 30 minutes, and then I appreciate your time, Lori and Warren. Great to meet you, Lori. And hey, do you do any work with the Gorham Brothers hat? Your hats have a very similar style, or some of them have a very similar style to the Gorham Brothers. I have a bunch of their hats.
You do, yeah, especially in North Beach. I used to live in North Beach. Yeah,
so I lived right there. Well, my first place in Russian Hill was just close to their store. So we used to walk up there and buy like a hat like every 2 weeks, because I wear hats, like all types of different hats. So,
I met my husband in Tony Nix.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. So I'm sure we run in a lot of the same neck of the woods and probably have more mutual friends than we actually realize.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
great. Hey, before I let both of you go, there's a book both of you need to read if you haven't read it.
Yes.
Be your future self now.
Be your future self now.
Have either of you read it?
I have not. I'm writing it down right now. I have two from Tyson, so now I have this one as well. So thank you.
Tyson, have you read it? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, something happened. I lost his audio again. Oh, he is on mute. Yeah.
I'm on mute. Sorry. Yeah, I have read it. I listen to I listen to a lot of Audible, so I don't read as many books. I read more like reports on buildings and when I'm that type of stuff. Most of the reading I do is like case studies and so on and so forth. But I listen to a ton of these books when I'm either running, cleaning, cooking. I have a different waterproof Walkman where I listen to a different book when I'm swimming. So yeah, I'm constantly trying to do, listen to stuff. So I love listening to these type of books. Yeah, it was a good book. I really liked it.
It really gets you to think outside of the box and move forward and
Yeah.
stop just living your day to day. I loved it. Anyways,
Yeah,
great to
awesome.
meet both of you. I'll stay in touch with you, Tyson and Warren, and you guys have a beautiful day.
Cheers.
Yeah, you
Thank you
too.
so much.
Yep.
Great seeing
Have a
you.
good
Bye.
one. Bye.
Bye.